Back on Sid and Friends in the morning, and as if one is not enough, now I got two of my favorite ladies in the business today, and they're on the show all the time. You know them both. One is Jacqueline Toboroff, local girl, does a terrific job, wrote that book last year, Supermoms Activated, but she's never here. She's in Miami, she's in France, she's somewhere else all the time. She's on one of these phone lines. The other is my dear friend Stella Escobedo, big television star, OAN. And I've been on her show a bunch of times. She's been on this show a bunch of times. So I've got Jacqueline Toboroff and Stella Escobedo. One's in France, one's in California on the phone lines together. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. What an introduction, right, Jackie?
Yeah. Jackie, let's start with you because this story that we're going to talk about, the three of us now, is something that you discovered nearly last year. And that is, here comes Tim Walz as Harris's VP choice, because you want to pick the Jew. That's the bottom line, Shapiro. So he comes from Minnesota. This guy claims he's pro-Israel, yet he's best friends with Ilhan Omar. Ladies, it can't be both. So he's not pro-Israel. And now you come to find that the Minnesota state flag has 8 points. It's not the only flag. Jackie, explain to the audience exactly what that means.
Okay, so a symbol of Islam is suddenly appearing on flags all across America. To date, there are over 30 flags from cities and states that have disappeared the individual city and state flag, and they have replaced it with the ubiquitous Islamist 8-point star. Minnesota was basically the pioneer. They assembled a flag task force, basically chose a flag that was already designed. It looks almost identical to the Somali flag, and Tim Walz is directly part of this entire cultural coup d'etat.
Wow, that's some serious stuff. Do you know, Jacqueline, if President Trump, I assume, of course, that his team knows everything. I mean, I speak to Lara Trump about 5 days a week, but do you know if the president knows that? Because I got to think that is a big card in the deck for President Trump, yes?
Well, Sid, that's why we're here. We know how tight you are with President Trump.
Yeah.
So the truth of the matter is Steve Bannon was all over this story. Mike Lindell got involved because he's also from Minnesota. This is a huge deal that he is erasing, by the way, not only American tradition, but also Native American tradition, which was represented on the Minnesota flag. And Somali Muslims make up less than 1% of Minnesota. And look what is happening there. I mean, really, again, the core constituency of the Democrat Party is in Dearborn, Michigan. It is, Islamists and, climate cultists and illegals. I mean, really, it is the worst of the worst. And President Trump has to know it is not just Minnesota. This is a real issue. We see the UK, United Kingdom, being, it's lit on fire right now because of the Islamist immigrants. And this is coming here, and Tim Walz is really linked to this entire catastrophe.
That is, of course, Jacqueline Toboroff. She's in France this morning, usually in studio with me here in New York. Let's go to Stella Escobedo out there in California. And, Stella, you hear Jackie, you know this story. You've covered it, too, done a great job with that. And, all I kept reading a couple of days ago when she announced Walz instead of Shapiro was, don't worry if you're Jewish, because Walz votes with Israel all the time. And then the very next thing I see online are about 50 smiling pictures of Walz with Ilhan Omar. Well, folks, it can't be both. You can't vote for Israel and still be okay with a Jew hater like Omar. That says to me he's not really pro-Israel. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the things that I have been seeing, and I even posted to my social media where he came out and he said, something to the effect of, whenever I want to have a good day, I just think about Ilhan Omar. Aye. So, listen, this story that we're talking about here, Jackie came to me and she said, listen, I've researched this. I have all this information. And I was like, okay, I read it. And then I had her on my show. And it's very interesting because there are 17 flags, cities and states that have changed their flags. And they have this 8-point star, which is statistically impossible, right? Why didn't they choose a different star? And a lot of people are saying, well, you guys are crazy. Jackie's crazy with the story. It could be the North Star. Statistically, it's really impossible. And so this new flag in Minnesota resembles the light blue color of the Somalian flag. as we know, Minnesota is home to a large Somalian refugee population, Sid. Minnesota, there's a district there is represented by Ilhan Omar, okay? Now, this was part of Jackie's story, the deputy chair of Minnesota's GOP, and she's a retired Marine Lieutenant Colonel, Donna Bergstrom. She specialized in symbols. I had her on my show. She's also Native American. She calls this a national security issue. She really has no skin in the game when it comes to this, in a sense. She's just saying, holy cow, look at what's happening. And she calls it a national security issue. She says it's a threat to Native Americans because the traditional 5-point star represents America, and they're deleting it. So why isn't this being investigated and looked into closely instead of saying it's a conspiracy theory right away?
Right. I mean, listen, I know girls like you, or both you girls, Jackie, Stella, our friend Siggy Flicker, who also knows about this story. She contacted me, and maybe even Liz Barkohan. Any attractive young Republican girl who talks like this is automatically crazy, which all of you are, by the way.
Right. Until we're not anymore, right?
Right. Until you're not.
Right.
And you mentioned Omar, and I'll stick with you on this one, Stella. Get back to you, Jackie, in a moment. They voted out Jamal Bowman here in New York. They just voted out Cori Bush. I think it'll be much more difficult to vote out Omar, but we have that opportunity coming up on August the 13th, and it would send quite a message if we keep voting out all these hateful anti-Semites. Now, they all do the same thing. As soon as they lose, they blame AIPAC. Oh, that Jew
100%.
money, that Jew money. They need to come to the realization that they're just detestable people, and we hate them, Jews and Christians alike. But right away, they blame AIPAC. Is there a chance Omar could be next?
Well, yes, there could be a chance. And what's interesting is it's your own party that's voting you out, honeys. It's literally your own Democrats that are voting you out. So what is the argument there? And then it's AIPAC. And AIPAC is American. They talk about it's Israel. AIPAC is American Israeli, okay? And the interests are protecting our, democracies in Israel and here. So they try to make it about Israel. It's not. It's about Americans.
That is so true. Stella and Jackie. Jack, I want to go back to you again. The Olympics is taking place in France right now. I know you're not in Paris, and I paid no attention virtually to the Olympics until I got stuck at a Fort Lauderdale airport for 11 hours, and every TV was on it. Look, I'm rooting for Noah Lyles and Simone Biles and even the basketball team. I'm American. I want our people to win, but I think it's grotesque. A lot of the countries involved in this competition I can't stand. You had them making fun of Jesus Christ in the Last Supper. That was disgraceful. So the truth is, I'm not really watching it, but I'm aware of what's going on. Tell me about all of France, what's going on, whether it's the Olympics or even anti-Semitism. What does France look like these days?
I'm going to address this, and then I want to bring up something else because it all ties together. What's happening at the Olympics is only possible because it has been absolutely conquered by Islamists, and we can tie this back into Tim Walz. The fact that they're making fun of the Last Supper, they are mocking Judeo-Christianity, okay? That's what's happening here. Can you imagine if they ever did that to Islam? No. Does Charlie Hebdo ring a bell? That's when 17 journalists were murdered by Islamists. So the only reason why it is possible to make fun of anything Judeo-Christian in the West is because it has been conquered. And President Trump has to understand that putting Tim Walz on a ticket is really the Democrat Party is signaling to us. This is signal. They're letting us know we are about to be conquered if we haven't already been. And I want to just say this is very important. New York City has 10% of the Jewish population. This is the largest Jewish community outside of Israel. There is a reason why Democrat Jews are leaving the Democrat Party. This is really a chance to turn New York City red. We cannot have these two radicals that are pro-BLM, pro-Islamist, which is basically the exact same thing, anywhere in government, and they cannot be ruling America, and we have to vote them out in huge numbers.
Well, the good news is, to your point, Jacqueline Toboroff, latest poll, I was shocked to see this morning here in New York right now, Harris, 49%, Trump, 50%. Trump was on my show with me last week. He said, Sid, you and Zeldin got to get me in New York, and it looks like it may go that way. So, Stella, let's wrap it up with you. Look, we know what's going on in Israel. I had David Friedman on the show yesterday. He's been there for the last month and a half, and he said, Sid, I go to bed every night worrying, have to run to a bomb shelter because they're ready for Iran to attack any second. Very few people more pro-Israel, Stella, than you, being a Jewish girl yourself. What are your thoughts on what's going on in Israel? And the latest with Kamala Harris, where she said she'd be willing to discuss a complete arms embargo to Israel. Your thoughts?
Sid, I have so much to say. I'm a Soviet refugee to this country, came from a Muslim nation, Uzbekistan. And you can't talk about this without talking about the Iran nuclear deal, which was courtesy of the Obama administration. We gave him so much money. Trump comes into presidency. He cuts the head off the snake. Biden comes in. He's got all the same people in office that he did. We have Robert Malley, who was the Iran envoy, who's been suspended since last year. We don't know why he was suspended. They don't tell us, but it was his national security clearance was revoked. So we have that going on. And there's, information coming out that he allegedly gave information possibly to Tehran. Now we're talking about Kamala Harris, her national security advisor, Philip Gordon, that's directly connected to her, who had ties with somebody who's the top in the Pentagon, Ariane Tabatabai, who was involved in the Iran nuclear deal, the Iran Experts Initiative. So there is so much, and it scares me to think that we have been infiltrated on many levels. So what happened with the Iran nuclear deal? It created what's called the Ring of Fire. What did Iran do? Iran had funded its proxies. So that's why Israel is fighting for its life right now, because you have Hezbollah, Hamas, you have Syria, Iran, Iraq, and that's why Israel is on edge today, waiting to see what's going to happen.
Yep, the Houthis, too. Well, listen, Jacqueline Toboroff, excellent investigative work. Really great job. Stella, you too. And you two are really important. And this is coming from me. Nobody more important than me. You two are really important in media today because we just don't have any real honest and smart and good people. And both of you ladies are all of that. So Jacqueline Toboroff and Stella Escobedo, as always, thank you so much. You're great. I love our friendship, and I love the work you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We love you, Sid.
Love you too. All right, guys. That's Stella and Jackie. We'll take a short break. More of Sid and Friends in the morning on a Friday right after these words.